Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. I am Eric of the Lovely Family on the one and only Wide Awake News, presented to you today by me, coming from the original mind creator, I suppose, the founder, Charlie McGrath. I want to welcome all of you to the one and only W.A.N.Radio network. Now, of course, I want to say hi, hello to all those people who are tapping into the feed in some other form or fashion. I am glad that you are here. I am glad that you are listening. Today is going to be what I would call a little more of a local day. And the reason being is a lot of people wanted to know and have wanted to know for some time what actions are being taken place on the ground, communities that I'm affiliated with, communities that I'm communicating with, communities that I am helping to do whatever we can. Now, people need to understand that you can extrapolate from this and do with information as you so please. However, I will say that the individuals we're going to talk about today are people who are actually doing things that I suggest everyone to do, to actually research and comprehend what powers they have or originally had, how to seek them out, how to utilize those things and abilities to dictate change. So to eventually to mold us into that conversation, I want to talk about the Freedom Act quite quickly, because see, this is what do we say? The other side of the coin. The Freedom Act is the governmental evil side of what we're about to talk about. See, the whole idea of it is that you have a contrast of ideology. Most people don't even concern themselves with such things. They think past it as if somehow the human society and whatnot has evolved past these basic concepts. The struggle in today's society is whether or not a centralized, it's central planning versus decentralization and disbursement of power. This is one of the main key cogs in ideological fight with the individuals who are in control of you. I.e., there is no better term, you could call them Babylonians. If you would like a more up-to-date term, you can call them Marxists. Whether you care to believe that or not, whatever, I don't really care. The facts are the facts, and you'll consume them, or you'll just continue sticking your head in the sand, and you'll just be another casualty, and that'll be okay. Because you will clear the way and you will free up resources and time and energy for those who do deserve the wisdom, the breath of freedom, the endurance and continuation of a free life. Now, people think, I've said that several times today, people think and have said and have claimed how uncaring that is, about how unfeeling that is. Let me tell you what. I don't really care about your weak-boned, silly, little, spineless, guppy bullcrap. And the reason why I say that is, well, first off, let's start talking about the Freedom Act. It really isn't going to take that long. I promote you to go to Krabby Dog Tricks over at YouTube and watch his small video that he actually has put out talking about the Freedom Act, and then go get the Freedom Act. Go get the piece of legislation. And you must first understand that by looking at the Freedom Act, there are many things that aren't going to completely sink into you. You must pay attention to when and where it tells you that it changes definitions of words in other acts. Do you understand? This is how they do it. They create a law, and they hand you the law, and you assume on face value by looking at the terminology and the things in the law, hey, that's not so bad. But the problem is that you don't understand is when they change the verbiage or the definition of a specific word within the content of a separate act by passing another act. It thereby changes the entire dynamic and or conversation that other act presents, working in conjunction with the act that lays in front of you. Now, what does that mean? It means, this is the key. I want people to go and look at this themselves. When you actually cross-reference and understand the vernacular changes, you will find that there are now 17 different ways that the FBI, one means or another, or any other government agency, can override the act itself and continue doing whatever in the hell it wants to do with you and your private data, period, end of story. If you aren't willing to go read it, if you aren't willing to do the work and cross-reference the information, then shut up. That is all I've heard all day is a bunch of crackpot whiny babies and all of their crackpot speculation, bullcrap, naysayers, and all of this junk because nobody has physically put in the roughly 35 hours, okay, that it took to cross-reference the information and read the specific bill. Am I going to hold your hand? No, I'm not, because it's really not worth my time. Because this show today is about local activity and action. You see, this is a beacon of light. It is a lighthouse within the ocean of confusion. This is a reason why my production company, which still exists, Light in the Darkness Productions, is just that and uses the emblem of the lighthouse as its logo. If you are not willing to do the work, then you will not be willing to take action. End of story. If you are a journalist and it is your endeavor, it is your talent to spread this information to other people, then that's what it is you should do. If you are not one of those people, then you should be taking the information, utilizing the information to the best of your ability to accomplish whatever task that you and your community set your mind to. Stop worrying about the county next door. Stop worrying about the town at the other end of the county. Start worrying about what it is that you can tangibly touch, feel, taste, and disassemble or assemble. This is the reality of life. I'm going to show you examples that is near and dear to me today. We're going to talk a little bit about them. And we're actually going to show you where there are individuals who give information. There are individuals who do something with the information, and there are individuals who give the information and do something with the information. The individuals within this, okay, people do not rule over you. This is a fallacy. You allow them to rule over you. That is the reality. So you need to stop first and foremost and completely comprehend and yes, understand that fact. To be ruled, you must acquiesce. Period. You, for whatever reason, for whatever crap it is you want to tell yourself, and some of it's pretty big crap. People use their children. People use property. People use everything in the book as a friggin' excuse to not do something. Well, let's think about the people who founded this country for a moment. They risked everything. Their big giant plantations, their big giant wads of gold, their entire way of life, their own children, their wives, the ones who had slaves. We're not going to get into the conversation about slaves at the moment. We're focusing on what people did. They sacrificed everything in an attempt to ensure future generations would follow their example. Electricity is more important to you. Your automobile is more important to you. Your job, where it buys you decent clothing, is more important to you. The clothing on your back is more important to you. I could go down a list. Your children, even though you claim them to be more important than you will sacrifice their future to put a cheeseburger in their mouth. I don't care if you don't like it. I don't care your emotional attachment. You're wrong. You're spineless. And you're an idiot. And you're a liar. People don't like to be called out with the cold, hard facts. But if you're willing to accept an excuse, then all the principles you claim to have do not exist. If you are willing to say, I would do that because it's driven in my heart, but I gotta accomplish this first, which is in complete contradiction to my principles. Here's a newsflash. You don't have principles. If you would allow something to take place to yourself, like rule, without actually taking part, then you were guilty. This idea that we pick and choose and we apply ethics and morals and we apply logical thought only when it's convenient to us as we sit around in this gaggle of mag cesspool, listening to internet broadcasts. And look, before anyone even has even half a testicle arise within them and want to say that I have a problem with alternative media. I do not have a problem with alternative media. I have a problem with the alternative media listener. That's who I have a problem with. There's plenty of great journalists. There's some bad ones. But there are plenty of great journalists firing great information at you that bounces off your forehead. You jibber-jaw with it with someone online. You post on some forum about how freaking upset you are. You post on some video. You give naysayer comments. Sometimes you support the comments, pros and ups and downs, but nothing's actually getting done. Nothing is being done. Now, people always hear me say these things. They take these actions, they hear them, they get upset, and they get mad. What about you, you bearded hillbilly? What the hell are you doing? What is it that you got going on? Well, you know what? I don't take cameras into events and things of that nature. But I'm going to give you enough information today that if you went to this place or investigated enough, you will find the inner workings. It's within the public record of what it is that we're doing. We're going to take a snapshot of a small town. It's not really a small town. Excuse me. But it's called Pagosa Springs, Colorado. Now, most people could find that on a map. If you need help, you pull up the state of Colorado. You look all the way down to the southwestern corner, not all the way to the southwestern corner, but a little bit to the east, right down near New Mexico. You'll see several towns. You'll probably see Farmington just to the south, which is across into the New Mexico border. You will find there Pagosa Springs. Off to its right, you will find the next largest town physically denoted on the map, known as Durango, Colorado. This is a huge tourist destination. It has a liberal arts college. It's actually a fairly large town. It's an actual, I would call it a small city. Pagosa Springs is a very small city, but a city nonetheless. What is taking place in Pagosa Springs is earth-shattering at the least, because people are physically doing things. And for all those of you who want to know, eventually I'm hoping to bring some of these individuals on. The individual who is the first point of contact, as I will not supply his last name, but he is referred to as PT, which is his first two initials, which I will really have to break them of that as I continue to try to argue the philosophical understanding of what a name is and how that persona is physically created and what it means. So we are working on that. But PT is a group or is a gentleman within a group or membership of unified state sovereign citizens, as they are referring unto themselves. They have created an organization known as the Pagosa Guard. Now, let me tell you what, there's no cat out of the bag. Just because I'm saying something doesn't mean the FBI is going to crack down on them any more than what they already are. It doesn't mean that the Department of Homeland Security is going to roll in and do anything more than they already are, because let me tell you, they're already in action. Okay, there is a number of military sightings and so forth within the Pagosa Springs area. There is a much larger presence of the U.S. Marshal Service within the Pagosa area. Why? Why is this occurring? Because the Pagosa Guard has started meetings, has started training, has started bartering, has started to work with this community. People trading goods and services back and forth. People helping other people. People organizing different things within town and utilizing all of the tools and skills available to them and attempting to avoid the U.S. currency as much as possible to carry out and conduct their activities. Now, it goes far beyond. You see, first you build an organized community where individuals will communicate. Individuals will trade. They will conduct their business. They will have conversations, okay? They will fellowship together, and then what happens is they form trust. Trust with each other, confidence in the man and the woman next to them to do the right thing. We took the break early because I had some connection issues and so forth. And to answer your question, buddy, I have no idea. When you find out, you let me know. Okay? Basically, where I left off is that the idea is now that we are at a catalyst point. We are at a tipping point in our progression within the county and in the city of Pagosa Springs, Colorado. They are already involved. These individuals are already involved attempting to stop us. And I'm going to tell you basically what it is that we did. Basically what it is that the Pagosa Guard has done within their county and what free people have done or are attempting to do. And because they are at a specific point, there is no hiding it. There's no turning back, okay? It's on the table, clear-cut ideas. Basically what has taken place is that right now we have 9 ballot initiatives moving forward. Now, people wonder what ballot initiatives are. We have to understand and basically comprehend how the actual system works. And a ballot initiative is put forth in front of the people for them to vote directly within their own area to locally control laws that are either enacted by their own people or exterior forces. Okay? So basically, here's what we've done. With these ballot initiatives, I want to give you just one key example. Now, before we get too far in, we took these 9 ballot initiatives. We actually got enough signatures under the law to get them onto the floor for the county commissioner's office and so forth to vote upon. Now, as long as the signatures are there, as long as they don't address the issue, and as long as the ballot initials have been shelved, in other words, they don't do anything to stop them, they think that ends the situation, that they can counter by simply blocking ballot initiatives. Now, let me tell you what a ballot initiative is before we move on. Or one of ours. I'm going to give you an example. Basically, one of our main ballot initiatives that we are attempting to have the county enact is a removal of statutory law and replacing it with constitutional law and the original definition of a crime. Now, what does that mean? That means within the county, within the city of Pagosa, and the county that it exists in, if we can get this ballot measure passed through the county, then basically what happens is you return to the original version of prosecutable law. In other words, there must be a victim. It will be an end to victimless crimes. It'll be end to debtor's prison. It will be an end to tax imprisonment. Okay? There will be an end to many, many, many things. You can understand by looking at your laws. Understand what a victimless crime is. You see, it used to be that to create a crime where you would have property or things seized from you or incarcerated or your life taken from you, there had to be a victim. Not a state. A state is not a thing. A state can only lay claim against another state. We, the people, lay claim against individuals. No state power or authority has that authority. First, you have to comprehend that. Under the guise and acknowledgement of what a crime is. The reason why this open-ended crap continues to happen to you is because you aren't educated enough to know that they redefined what the word crime means. Basically, it is redefined now to breaking any statute that the state throws out at you. And if they need a victim, they merely claim you have wronged the state. Well, I didn't know the state was a thing. I didn't know the state was an individual, because you must face your accuser. You cannot face a state. The governor of the state is not the state. He is merely the chief conductor of business for the state. The state is not a real living thing. I understand that there are many people who have been detached from so many things, but I've been on the air for so many years now. People who have been supposedly passing the message along. People who have supposedly been educating themselves. Naysayers who want to call me all kinds of names and say all kinds of stupid, moronic things out of their mouth, and they aren't educated enough to actually be able to explain why the problems exist. One of the easiest things that everybody seems to freely turn a blind eye to is what the definition of a crime is. You have committed a crime when you have injured a party, an individual. The state is not an individual. It can never be an individual. It cannot prosecute you like an individual can, because it doesn't have the status of what an individual is. So by returning the law to the original definition of what a crime was, you seriously hamper and put a massive dampener on what the state can physically do to you and which actions the state can physically take. Now, with that being said, I hope that you understand that these things that are taking place, they get shelved. Okay? But all you have to do is get the ballot initiative with enough signatures in front of them and let them shelve it. Because it's already there, waiting for enactment, for a floor discussion, an open forum meeting, and a vote by the individuals and the people. You have to force the issue enough with your commissioners to force it onto a ballot. How do you do that? By becoming a county commissioner. You simply attack the smallest and the most effective power entity within your local community. Now, I told you for a long time I was going to discuss this with you, but I waited. I waited until I knew ducks were in a row, the heat was already on, and that there was nothing that anyone could do to slow down and really understand that it was already all go, no quit, full on ahead. The reasons being that we understand that is because of the heightened presence and activity of a intelligence agency of one form or another under the guise and arm of the government is now acting directly in an attempt to stop the actual activity taking place. These are the two steps you really need to take, but you must understand, before you create a ballot initiative, you must educate yourself, because your ballot initiative cannot be depicted, described, or emphasized within the language of the present ruling structure. You either make that clear in the statement as to what language you will be using to confer or to distribute the idea to the populace. With that being said, once you have achieved the proper and correct vernacular so that there are no loopholes, you then initiate that action by getting someone to mobilize, to leave the fat of their butt from the couch and to go into the community and physically explain it to people face to face. Knock on doors. Be polite. Excuse yourself if they wish to physically argue to the point that you realize they just are one of them and not one of you. Move on. Do not bog yourself down in fighting this fight door to door, house to house. Focus on people who are interested. Focus on people who are actually at the bottom of the scourge of this problem. With this being said, you then enact county commissioners, and you keep running people. You run people until you maintain the majority of the county seats. This is what you must do. Then you simply remove it from the shelf, enact the ballot vote, put it before the open forum. Once you are in the county commissioner driver's seat and you have the majority of the county commission seats, you can now dictate the ballot access. And there's nothing that anyone can do short of killing you or arresting you and your entire group. The very next thing you do to combat that aspect at the very same time, which the gentlemen of the Pagosa Guard are doing, are basically to then put all focus and fire on the majority seats of the county commission as well as the sheriff's office. Now let me tell you, it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of energy. It's going to take away from your free time. It's going to take away from your turkey hunting. It's going to take away from your soap operas. It's going to take away from your video games. It's going to take away from your sporting events. It's going to take away from your child's activities. In the long run, you put the government, the corporate entity known as the government, in a fight or flight situation. This is what you must achieve. At the time that you initiate the fight or flight situation, you must be ready to fight. And I don't mean waving friggin' signs. Because ultimately, they will simply attempt to use force of arms to remove you. The DA for the state will issue a warrant for your arrest. The state troopers and the sheriff's office, if you do not maintain control of it, will then try to attempt to serve that warrant, where people with guns will come and point them at you. They're not too well connected. You simply have a defeatist mentality. I'm sorry if that upsets you. This has already taken place. It's taking place in a specific town that I've already explained to you. And if they're, the counties are La Plata County and Archuleta County down there in the southwest, if you're still fumbling around trying to find it on a map. Pagosa Springs is in one of those. It's a 50-50 chance. You flip a coin and figure out which one it is. But it's directly on the map. These things are taking place in that community. Everyone who's told me that it can't happen, that it won't happen, that no one is going to do anything, no one is going to attempt. Well, they are. And you know what? We're making headway. But we have no delusions about ourselves. We understand that by taking these actions, we pledge our life, our wealth, our personal honor. Just like the forefathers did in the original days. This is not a game. If you are unprepared to put it all on the line for your ideology and your beliefs, then it is a fad and a circus event for you, and you don't belong on the line. Do you feel me? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Because, see, the things that are going to take place, change is going to take place by people, orators, action doers, individuals who are unafraid to stand on the street, people who are unafraid to stare at the police departments and all of these other government organizations. We'll be right back after these when we start talking about it. Other ballot initiative, one of the other 9, is the separation of commerce from actual life activities. In other words, actually using a vernacular or using linguistics to truly explain the separation from day-to-day activity and actual commerce, which then would prevent a corporate entity from using the Commerce Clause to interfere with your day-to-day activities, like travel, barter, things of this nature. If you cannot grasp, okay, there is nowhere to hide. You see, this is the thing that makes so many people angry. This is one of the things that makes them so annoyed with me. Is because I won't just sit around and kick the government. I won't just spend all of my time monkey stomping the government into the ground, saying bad things about them, saying this about them, following along with all these idiotic news stories that I don't really care about. You know, the realization is that unless there is someone physically attempting to impede your progress, ideologically, actual activity, your political pursuits, laws of your land, if no one is physically standing in your way, if you can't sit back in your chair at the end of the day and say, man, such and such a bureau is really pissing me off because they're getting in my way. Oh, those police officers who stop me down on the street are pissing with me because of X, Y, and Z. If you are not receiving harassment, then you really aren't doing anything. You see, if you seek to make change within an environment that does not want to allow change, and then you are physically doing something that actually is creating that change, you will be met with resistance. I hope that you understand this simplicity, this simple logical deduction from the situation. If you are sitting on your couch and you're talking about all the things you'd like to change, but you're not actually taking activity to implement the change, then no government agent is going to have to come and stop you from initiating the change. They could just let you sit there and blubber and piss on yourself and whine and die while wallowing in your own filth and misery. They don't need to take action. You have done their action for them by neutering yourself. If you are too cowardice, if you do not have the backbone, if you do not have the spine, if you do not have anything that musters up some type of cojones to actually physically go out into the world, you know, the people who stand out on the street, who hand out pamphlets, who sign, who get these petitions signed, you see, these people are met with harassment. Police come around. They want to see your credentials. They want you to move along. They tell you you're disturbing neighborhoods or you shouldn't be here or this activity, well, not really illegal. They just can't allow it to take place here because it is disrupting traffic or it is disrupting the commerce of the community. They will use whatever excuse they have to use if you are encountering these types of individuals. Then these actions you are doing are physically making change. You standing at the grocery store and running off at the gums to somebody else in line passes along information. Did you exchange phone numbers? Did you plan to meet somewhere and hand out flyers together? Have you burnt DVDs and you're passing them out to the community? Or what? I mean, really. Communication is a great thing. Education is a great thing. But if you don't do anything with the education, then it's worthless. It's not worth anything. Except for what it is. Information. So what? You know all the wonderful factoids about why you're being screwed. But you're not actually attempting to stop the activity of being screwed. You know, this very simple concept. Simple. Very simple concept. Seems to be lost on everyone. People have no ethics. People have no morals. People have no principles. Therefore, they have no drive. They have no duty. They have no undying flame to do the right thing. They make up excuses as to why they'll get to it tomorrow. Or when the situation gets to X point, hey, I'll jump right in and I'll get involved. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to be jumping on the bandwagon, you know. I'll be there to toe the line when it gets real bad. No, you won't. That's a lie. It's an excuse for you to wave the flag. I don't know, put your Captain Dakota ring on and tell everyone you're part of the team. It's also, you're hoping that it is your ability to slip away quietly in the night because maybe no one was actually looking at me. People don't want to hear these things because they know it's true. They see their own cowardice. Some people get their stomachs turned and sickened by this, and as well you should. You should be sick. Sick of the coattail riders. Sick of the individuals who just troll and run around and run their mouth and they got their giblets flapping. But they're not actually doing anything. They're actually helping your enemy more than they're helping you. You go in a chat room. You listen to a broadcast. The things that happen in the chat room should have to deal with what the broadcast has to deal with. That's what the chat room is for. It's not to find you a freaking date. It's not to buy a damn car. It's not to talk about new ways you can cook bacon or whatever other dumb retarded stuff. It is about the information that's being presented and anything that can help you do that. Health tips, proper diet, types of exercise, training rituals, target shooting, all of the things that matter that take place within the realm of your objective goals. You should also be communicating about the actual, factual information and topic that is going on. And I'm not singling any person out because I don't watch the chat room that much. I see it here, I see it there, I see other people's chat rooms, but I listen to what the person is saying. Listen to what the individual has to say. What information is the individual sending out? I have yet to find a chat room that physically gives me quality feedback on the information that's being presented. What other individuals think? We have a couple people who I will say right off the bat are physically in the chat room. Some are pro, some are con, but they're actually talking about what the hell it is that I've presented, which is an amazing, astounding fact. And I want to see more of that. So go over to WideAwakeNews.com when the shows are on, click on the big microphone, go into the chat room, and steer the conversation to the path of true information, community activity. These are things, to me, the plan of action I presented to you today is about the only shot you have left. Now, what is going to happen? Well, eventually, like I said, the government is backed into a corner where it has to put up or shut up. That's the reality. And each victory along the way, when you force their hand to put up, you know you've got them. Because now it boils down to the force of will. And whichever side's will is stronger wins. It doesn't matter the technology involved. It doesn't matter which side's got bigger bullets than the other. It doesn't matter what electronic mojo gadgets you have. The ripple effect will change society around you. The truth of your actions will be seen by the county next to you. You know what? If you're in New York and you want Texas to hear you, well, you got a whole lot of counties to take over one by one in a line until you're sure that they know that they hear you. It has nothing to do with mass media across the entire globe. Great to be informed. It's good to know what your enemy is doing. But the reality is that you, in your small county, in your section of the vast pond that we call America, your group beats the waves. You beat the water until the ripples are so large they stretch into the next county. And then you continue to beat. And people in that county will beat the waters. And the ripples will grow even larger. And then your counties will beat waves in harmony. whichever expands from there, making it larger. This is how you change the world. One pebble, one stone, the first ripple. More stones to follow. Everybody throwing stones at the same time. The ripple grows. Ideas cannot be overcome. Ideas don't die. Individuals need to take up these activities. Individuals need to put forth action. And you know what? Here's the unfortunate news. It may cost you your wealth. It may cost you your property. In the most horrible of instances, it may cost you friends and family. In an even more instance, it may cost you your very own life. But see, as you look around yourself in the world, you're already done for. Hiding will do nothing. You have the chance to strike out into the future, to create a domino effect for your children, for their children, and for their children, and generations to come. This is the only way to see yourself through this. There is no other way. There isn't a magic wand. There's no Superman. There's no one that is invincible and invulnerable. There is no one that is 100% full, pure. Everyone falls short of the kingdom. No one is perfect. I just don't understand why there is so much argument. There is so much argument about physically taking activity. Do not argue the finer points. Turn law back over to the individual and let them live their life as they see fit. If they think it's green space aliens and they want to take on the action of fighting them, then let them have at it. Return the law to the hands of the people. Until next time, true believers.